Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
The whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know.
But if she hasn't had the children herself, or Harry hadn't been involved, then they can't be in the royal line. They have to have royal blood, those little ones. Without that, there's no chance of them becoming a member of the royal.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle built their public story around honesty, family, and a fresh start far from royal life. But now, a wave of questions is shaking that carefully built image. Royal watchers, reporters, and even some former supporters are suddenly looking at the story from a very different angle. A new debate has started spreading online and across television panels, and it keeps circling around one surprising topic. Some people are wondering if a hidden detail connected to Archie and Lilibet could change how the public understands their story. The palace has stayed completely quiet, while the speculation keeps growing louder every day. That silence has only made the discussion spread faster. People across social media and news outlets are asking the same question again and again. Is this simply a coincidence that people are overanalyzing, or did the royal system quietly allow distance to grow for a reason? Either way, the missing connection many observers point out is now being discussed everywhere. This is no longer just a few rumors floating around the internet. The topic has grown into a serious debate, with people examining every detail very closely. Many families understand that medical decisions around childbirth can be deeply personal.
Tom, do you think Harry and Meghan are fast learning what they signed away when they took this Netflix big moolah? And I would say they signed away their credibility and their dignity.
Well, that's our view, but it's not theirs. They need the money, and they need it now more than ever because they've got no other source of income. So I think they're just stuck with the devil now. They're tied to Netflix, they're tied to their book, and all the criticism they're going to take means nothing because that's the only way they can earn their money.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
Paths like surrogacy are not unusual, and many people respect that choice completely. But critics say if any details connected to that topic were different from what the public originally believed, then the conversation could become much bigger. In royal history, the line of succession has always been treated with extreme care and strict traditions.
It's living a life that she's winning and she's doing all these great things, but the reality is not that. The reality is
You have extraordinary reporting in your book on what this was likely based on and how it doesn't match up to what Meghan said. Here's the clip, Sot 6 from the Oprah interview.
Because of that, even small questions about family lineage can quickly attract intense attention. The monarchy has always relied on two things above everything else: stability and a clear family line. If people start believing that foundation is uncertain, even slightly, the ripple effects could reach far beyond one couple.
Then he wore a Nazi uniform at a party. Then he was wearing absolutely nothing in the nude at the party in Las Vegas. And he couldn't cope with the criticism because in his view, he is a target. And it didn't help that his telephones were hacked by News International Rupert Murdoch's group here in London.
Critics say that kind of uncertainty could raise questions the royal institution normally tries very hard to avoid. That is why debates like this often attract so much attention from royal historians and longtime observers. Another reason this topic exploded so quickly is the person who first pushed it into the spotlight. Tom Bower is not just another voice online chasing clicks or viral headlines.
He's not very intelligent and undoubtedly remains damaged by the early death of his mother, Diana. And he very foolishly blames the media for her, in his words, which is complete nonsense. But I think he loved the adulation. He loved it when he was being praised, especially when he was a soldier. But then he became criticized, firstly because he became drunk in public.
He has spent years writing about royal history and political figures, often digging into details others prefer to ignore. Because of that reputation, people tend to pay close attention when his claims appear in the news. Supporters of his work often point out that several of his earlier investigations eventually matched facts that later became public. That history is exactly why this latest claim caught so much attention. When someone known for controversial investigations releases a statement this bold, it instantly pulls the spotlight toward the story. Some observers say the situation now feels like a spark landing in a room full of dry wood.
The conversation, I'm told and I believe, was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love, and already is talking about marriage, but long before their engagement is even announced, let alone they're married and she's pregnant. And he's sitting in Clarence's house with then Prince Charles and Camilla. And Camilla just laughingly says, well, any child you'll have will probably have brown skin and ginger hair.
It was a dreadful thing to do and actually completely wrong. He is quite hard and harsh.
Ready to ignite a massive debate. If the discussion keeps growing, it could affect more than just headlines. Critics argue that the public image Prince Harry and Meghan Markle carefully built over the past few years could face serious pressure. Others even say the controversy might influence how their place in modern royal history is remembered.
That has always been her motive. She's money obsessed and always has been. And that is why she married Prince Harry. Her great surprise and disappointment was to discover that Prince Harry had very little money. She imagined he'd be worth hundreds of millions, if not billions. And she's having to make up for it now.
In the world of the monarchy, reputation and legacy often carry enormous weight. Yet what many people find most striking is not what has been said, but what has not been said. Through all the headlines, interviews, viral posts, and heated panel debates, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have not made any public response about the claims. That silence has quickly become one of the loudest parts of the entire story.
Well, that's our view, but it's not theirs. They need the money, and they need it now more than ever because they've got no other source of income. So I think they're just stuck with the devil now. They're tied to Netflix, they're tied to their book, and all the criticism they're going to take means nothing because that's the only way they can earn their money.
There has been no detailed statement, no direct denial addressing the specific rumors, and no attempt to publicly settle the questions being raised. Just complete quiet from the Sussex side while the conversation continues expanding across media platforms. For some observers, that silence has only added more curiosity. Instead of calming things down, the quiet response seems to be making the debate even louder. The same question keeps appearing across comment sections, podcasts, and news discussions.
Had you hoped your children, Archie and Lilibet, would have had that you think they won't be able to now with this decision?
Well, for a start, the only time that I've come back to the UK is sadly for funerals or court cases.
In this case, about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump, the fact is Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince.
If everything is exactly as the public has always believed, critics ask, why not simply clear the air? Each day without a response seems to push the speculation further across the internet. What began as small online whispers has now exploded into trending hashtags, television debates, and endless analysis videos. Commentators are examining photos, timelines, interviews, and public appearances searching for clues. Social media platforms are packed with posts repeating the same feeling again and again. Something about the situation feels unusual to them.
And that's why I think, I think Tina is a great journalist, and perhaps she has inside information. I don't see how the Sussexes can give up both the Netflix and the book deal. They won't be living in a Montecito cottage. They're more likely living somewhere in downtown LA in a little hovel. That's their problem. They're stuck now. But, the truth is about them.
Supporters of Harry and Meghan strongly argue that the couple deserves privacy and that family matters should not be turned into public investigations. Critics, however, respond that questions connected to royal records and succession rules naturally attract public interest. Because of that tension, the debate continues growing louder from both sides. From a reputation standpoint, the pressure around the Sussex brand has become very real.
Well, of course, that was brilliant of you to bring that clip up because the body language just showed her discomfort as she dug deeper into her own hole. I mean, the truth is this, that there are two truths. The first truth is that the conversation, I'm told and I believe, was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love, and already is talking about.
Over the past few years, their public image was built around a modern family story that many viewers found inspiring. The move to Montecito, the high-profile interviews, and the polished Netflix series all painted a picture of love, resilience, and unity.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK.
Every scene in those appearances presented a calm and happy family life, designed to connect with audiences around the world. But critics now say the image might have looked almost too perfect, too smooth, too carefully produced. And when a public image appears highly controlled,
She never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home. We know that they deceived the public about the birth data and time of the whole event. So, and also, you know, even it goes down to the lawyer saying that in that statement, when they had that long attack on the Mail, which is astonishing, that Meghan, we know she lied in her statement.
some people begin wondering what might be happening behind the curtain. Observers say that once polished picture is now starting to show visible cracks. These are not small rumors that fade after a few days. The conversation has grown into a serious discussion across major media outlets.
The Queen and the Duke.
Yes, and we just bumped into the Duke as we were walking by, which was so nice. So it'll be a nice moment to introduce the baby to more family, and my mom's with us as well. So it's been a really, here we go.
another great grand.
According to critics, those fractures are becoming harder to hide with interviews, photo releases, or carefully managed appearances. For Prince Harry personally, the subject touches something extremely close to his heart.
Well, look, Radar Online, in fairness, they do quote you and say Royal Author Lady Colin Campbell recently challenged the conspiracy of silence and misinformation surrounding both topics.
This is not just another royal headline passing through the news cycle. It reaches directly into the story he has shared with the world about his own life. Fatherhood has always been presented as a powerful turning point for him. It marked a new chapter and became a central reason he gave for stepping away from royal duties. In interviews, he often described becoming a parent as the moment that gave him a deeper sense of responsibility and purpose. Supporters often say that identity as a father became the emotional center of Harry's life after leaving the royal system.
Using everything for publicity and not really truly there. We know how she treats her family.
From the Oprah interview to the Netflix documentary, he repeatedly shared the same message. Becoming a father changed everything for him. He described it as something that grounded him and helped him see the world differently. Now critics online are directing a harsh question toward that deeply personal narrative. They ask what it would mean if the children connected to that journey were not biologically his. Doubts like that do not just challenge a public story, they strike directly at the identity someone has shared with millions of people. For Harry, speculation of that kind would carry emotional weight far beyond headlines. It questions the role he says helped guide his life after years of intense public scrutiny. That is why the conversation has become so sensitive and personal in the eyes of many observers. People also remember the powerful image that shaped how the world first saw him. The young prince walking behind Princess Diana's coffin became one of the most unforgettable moments in modern royal history. That scene turned him into a symbol of grief, resilience, and survival for millions of people watching around the globe. Today, critics online are reshaping that image in very different ways. Some claim he appears like a confused figure caught in circumstances he cannot control. Others suggest he might fully understand everything happening around him and is simply choosing to keep certain details private. Neither version presents a flattering picture. One suggests a man struggling to guide his own path, while the other portrays someone carefully managing a complicated situation behind the scenes. In both cases, the same idea keeps surfacing in public discussion: a prince trying to control a story that seems to be growing bigger than expected. Reports from individuals said to be familiar with life inside the Montecito home describe a tense atmosphere around the situation. According to those accounts, the mood in the mansion has been heavy and filled with pressure. Constant media attention and endless online debates are reportedly creating serious stress inside the household. Articles, comment sections, viral videos, and discussion panels are analyzing every public photo and timeline connected to the children. That level of attention would be difficult for anyone to handle. Some reports claim the pressure is beginning to show. According to those claims, Harry has been deeply affected by the non-stop wave of speculation. Friends quoted in several reports say he appears restless, sometimes walking through the house late at night and struggling to sleep. The constant flood of rumors and analysis, they say, has created an environment filled with tension and uncertainty. Observers say the pressure is starting to show during Prince Harry's recent public appearances. Some viewers claim his face looks tense, more serious than before, like someone carrying a heavy weight. And there is a painful twist wrapped inside all of this. Prince Harry once became famous across the world for speaking openly about mental health and therapy. For years, he encouraged people to talk about their struggles and seek support when life becomes overwhelming. He pushed the message that facing emotional challenges directly is the healthiest path forward. But now critics say the same type of intense public pressure he warned others about appears to be circling around him. While Harry is described by some commentators as looking worn down by the constant speculation, Meghan is reportedly handling the situation in a completely different way, calm, calculated, and focused on protecting their public image. Reports suggest she has relied heavily on legal advisors, with teams sending warnings and pushing to stop certain claims from spreading further online. But here is where the story takes another sharp turn. According to critics watching the situation, each legal step seems to create even more curiosity instead of shutting the rumors down. Instead of quieting the discussion, the effort to control the narrative has made more people start digging into the topic. Across social media, the same question keeps popping up again and again. Comment sections, live stream panels, and viral posts all repeat the same line. If everything is exactly as it appears, why not simply clear the air once and for all? That question keeps echoing through the internet discussions. Then there is the royal palace itself, and their silence has become one of the most mysterious parts of the entire situation. So far, there have been no official statements from King Charles addressing the rumors directly. There have also been very few widely shared public moments showing Archie or Lilibet spending time with their grandfather. Royal children are usually acknowledged publicly during birthdays and big family milestones. Messages, photos, and warm comments often appear through official royal channels. In this situation, however, the public spotlight has remained noticeably quiet. When people compare that silence to how openly Prince William and Princess Catherine's children are celebrated by the royal family, the contrast becomes very noticeable. That difference has pushed some royal watchers to ask a bold question. Could the palace know more about the situation than the public does? Others believe something completely different may be happening. A new theory spreading among royal observers suggests the distance might not be punishment at all. According to this idea, it could actually be a form of protection. Some commentators believe the palace may have quietly kept space between the monarchy and Harry and Meghan's children for one reason: to protect the institution from a controversy they worried might grow larger one day. Now that author Tom Bauer has pushed the subject back into headlines, some observers think the palace could simply be watching the situation unfold, watching closely and waiting to see whether Prince Harry and Meghan Markle eventually address the speculation themselves. If any part of that theory were true, the situation would move far beyond ordinary celebrity gossip. Because if the monarchy ever had concerns about questions involving royal lineage, that would not just be tabloid chatter anymore. It would become a serious institutional issue for the royal family. What started as quiet curiosity online has now turned into strong public suspicion, and the conversation is no longer limited to gossip blogs or small online forums. Larger news outlets, experienced royal commentators, and longtime followers of the monarchy have begun raising the same dramatic question. Would Prince Harry and Meghan Markle ever agree to a DNA test to settle the speculation once and for all? The fact that people are even asking that question has shocked many observers. But history shows that when rumors continue meeting silence again and again, curiosity rarely fades. Instead, it tends to grow louder and louder. Many observers believe the situation might have unfolded very differently if things had been handled another way early on. Some commentators say simple transparency, clearer timelines, or straightforward explanations could have calmed the noise before it grew into a massive public debate. Instead, critics argue that the couple mostly stayed silent or responded through lawyers rather than speaking directly. That approach created a completely different reaction in the court of public opinion. At first, many viewers saw silence as a sign of dignity and restraint. But as the speculation kept growing, critics began saying the quiet response was not calming the story at all. In fact, they claim the silence has only made people more curious. What makes the entire situation even more dramatic is the emotional toll people believe it may be placing on Prince Harry himself. The prince who once appeared confident, outspoken, and ready to challenge royal traditions now looks to some observers like someone carrying an enormous amount of pressure. Reports from individuals said to be familiar with his wider social circle claim that a few former military friends have quietly stepped away from the spotlight surrounding the situation. According to those claims, it is not because of personal conflict. Instead, the constant attention and non-stop media noise have simply become too overwhelming. Sources describing the atmosphere say Harry appears emotionally stretched at times. Some say he seems frustrated, while other moments show him unusually quiet and withdrawn. People around him reportedly believe he may be wrestling with deeper questions about his own identity. For years, he has tried to build a life outside the royal system, redefining himself beyond palace expectations and traditional titles. That journey became a huge part of his public story. But now, that search for identity appears to be facing another intense wave of public scrutiny. And the most sensitive part of all may be the role he has spoken about with the most passion: fatherhood. In interviews and documentaries, he described becoming a father as the turning point that gave his life a clear sense of direction after stepping away from royal duties. Because of that, critics questioning this part of the story strikes directly at the emotional foundation he presented to the world. When people start challenging that narrative, some observers wonder how much of the story remains untouched by controversy. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle has appeared calm and composed during public appearances. Observers say she seems focused, controlled, and extremely careful with every move she makes in the spotlight. Commentators describe her approach as strategic. While she keeps a quiet public profile, legal teams are reportedly working intensely behind the scenes to respond to certain claims. According to reports, lawyers connected to her team have sent letters and warnings to some outlets demanding corrections or removal of stories they believe cross legal lines. But here is where the situation becomes even more complicated. Each legal move seems to spark a new wave of curiosity online. Instead of fading away, the discussion continues spreading across media platforms. More commentators, analysts, and social media users are jumping into the debate every day. Legal pressure can slow certain reports, but it rarely erases public curiosity completely. For many critics watching the story unfold, legal warnings only make the mystery feel even larger. For years, the public watched Prince Harry and Meghan Markle present a powerful image. People remember the glossy Netflix documentary, carefully curated photos, and emotional speeches about honesty, healing, and breaking painful cycles within families. Now, when questions about their children begin circulating and the couple chooses not to address them publicly, some observers say the contrast feels striking. To critics, it creates the impression that the public may have been shown a very controlled version of their story rather than the full picture. That perception alone has been enough to keep the speculation alive across social media, podcasts, and television panels discussing the royal family. At the same time, the royal family itself has remained completely silent throughout the growing debate. Not a single senior royal has stepped forward publicly to defend Prince Harry and Meghan Markle against the rumors. There have been no official palace statements challenging the speculation, no supportive comments from high-ranking family members, and no visible public gestures suggesting strong backing behind the scenes. That silence from the royal institution has only added another layer of mystery to an already explosive story. For many royal watchers, the palace silence feels impossible to ignore. Some observers say it almost looks like the royal institution has quietly stepped back and allowed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to handle the storm on their own. According to reports from insiders, King Charles has allegedly been advised to keep a careful distance from the controversy. The reasoning behind that advice is simple but serious. Even a small public gesture of support could create major complications if the speculation continues to grow. If those reports are accurate, the silence from the palace may not be accidental at all. Some commentators believe it could be a calculated move designed to keep the monarchy from being pulled directly into the center of the debate. Behind palace doors, there are claims that quiet conversations may already be happening among royal advisors. These discussions are said to focus on possible legal concerns, royal traditions, and how any controversy might affect the long-standing rules around succession. According to several royal commentators, officials may be carefully reviewing questions that few people feel comfortable raising publicly. These are sensitive topics tied directly to royal history and protocol. For example, some observers ask a complicated question. If unusual circumstances ever surrounded the births of Archie or Lilibet, how would royal rules handle that situation? How would titles, recognition, and the order of succession apply under those conditions? Right now, there are no clear answers coming from the palace, but the fact that such questions are even being discussed in public shows how serious the conversation has become. What once looked like a modern royal fairy tale is now facing heavy scrutiny from every direction. The story of a prince leaving palace life with his duchess to build an independent future once fascinated people across the world. It was presented as a bold new chapter built on honesty, freedom, and love. But critics now argue that narrative is beginning to show cracks under the pressure of unanswered questions and rising suspicion. And the longer the couple chooses not to address the topic directly, the louder the speculation seems to grow across media platforms. In the end, everything may come down to one defining choice: speak publicly and explain the situation clearly, or continue protecting personal privacy while the debate keeps moving forward. One option might quiet critics and restore confidence among some supporters. The other could leave the mystery hanging over their story for years. History shows that questions connected to royal lineage often carry enormous weight. Once doubts appear in public discussion, they rarely disappear overnight. Instead, they tend to linger, grow, and slowly shape how future generations interpret the story surrounding a royal family. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle built their modern image around themes of truth, independence, and personal freedom. Now that image is being challenged by intense curiosity and growing public debate. One question keeps appearing across television panels, online discussions, and royal commentary. Where exactly do Archie and Lilibet fit within the full story of the royal family? For now, speculation continues to swirl, and the conversation shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. One thing is certain though, until clearer answers appear, the questions around this chapter of royal history will continue echoing through headlines, documentaries, and endless public discussions. At this moment, the questions are still hanging in the air, and the silence surrounding them is only making the story feel bigger. Maybe the truth will become clearer soon, or maybe the mystery will continue following Prince Harry and Meghan Markle for years. Either way, one thing is obvious: the world is watching this situation very closely. So now the big question turns to you. Should the rumors be addressed directly, or should the couple protect their privacy and ignore the noise? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy deep dives into royal stories and major headlines like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next update.